Okay, again. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone and everywhere. We are so happy today to be with you at this global mentorship. Besides, we are unhappy due to the situation of the Russia and Ukraine, and we hope everything goes well. And we're sad for that. But however, we have to focus on our situation, which is one of the most important steps of Chevening scholarship and its interview stage. As you know, we have decided to manage at least 6 days of mentorship by current Chevening scholars in the UK and the people who already experienced this stage and succeed this stage. I think it's a good idea because me, myself as Diyar, I want to make this like a habit. So for next year, you or some of you may design an activity like this for other people, because I remember last year it was exact like these days. I was seeking and searching for the people to find someone, at least someone who experienced the Chevening interview stage. But unfortunately, I couldn't find. Okay, I found some people after the interview stage, so it was pointless at that stage. But I think you're lucky. You have us as a big team of scholars. At least there are 18 scholars from different countries who are eager to give you some information, some important tips, and so on. So we have decided to manage 3 scholars for each day, and we will be talking in 40 minutes. Okay, each of us between 10 to 15 minutes, and then the rest of time will be yours. You can ask your questions. What are your questions? What's the unclear point for you at this stage, and what do you need? How can we help? So you will be free to ask us questions, to discuss, to take our opinions as Chevening scholars. So it's up to you. You have 40 minutes, and also we have 40 minutes. Okay, and this process will be keep on tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. But for tomorrow, we will run the activity by 15 GMT time zone, because we thought that there are more than 85 countries with us, scholars from 85 countries. So the time is one of the challenges. So we have decided to set different times in order to let everyone to join us and get benefit from the activity. For today, hopefully we have Abdullah from Glasgow. He will be introducing himself in a minute, and then Ricardo, and then me, Diyar. So you will not be asking questions at this moment and next 35 minutes, and then you have chance to ask us questions and share your ideas regarding you. And could you please mute yourself at this moment, and next time or next 30 minutes you have an opportunity to unmute yourself and talk to us, and we will be happy to answer your questions and discuss with you. And my first tip for you, don't underestimate yourself. You're all unique. Okay, I don't have enough time to chat everyone, tell everyone, okay, you are unique, your essays are unique. Because you are shortlisted, it means you are unique. It means you are a leader. It means you have a strong networking. It means you have a strong career plan. It means you have a strong demand to study master's degree, okay? So don't underestimate yourself. Go ahead, Abdullah.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I know this is the UK time, so it's noon. Firstly, I'm Abdullah from Iraq. I'm a mechatronics engineer, and I am now studying robotics and artificial intelligence in University of Glasgow. And I would take the opportunity to say congratulations for this amazing achievement now. You are one step ahead of getting and trying this new experience, which is amazing experience. And like you'll never say that I regret doing something or putting some efforts on this experience. So yeah, nice to see you all.
Ricardo. Ricardo, could you please unmute yourself?
Okay.
Yeah, then we will be starting with Abdullah after you're introduced.
I think I'm unmuted. Okay, so my first tip is if your interview is online, unmute yourselves first. Thank you, Diyar, for organizing this, and I'm glad to meet everyone. Congratulations for reaching this stage. I'm Ricardo from Mexico City. I'm studying an MSc in Politics and Communication at the LSE. So if you have anything you want to know about like social sciences or living in London or the interview or whatever, I'm here for you.
Thank you, Ricardo. So it's time to, I have to start. Hey again, I am Diyar. I think most of you knows me regarding the grouping. I'm studying applied linguistics and TESOL in Lancaster University. It's a nice university and a small city. I think London is more crowd than Glasgow. In Glasgow there's more snow, so I'm eager to see snow and crowd cities. Okay, Abdullah, go ahead.
Yeah. So today is sunny. Hopefully, we had like snow yesterday, and the first thing you'll see in UK is you can experience the four seasons in single day. So yeah, you'll get used to it. Like coming from Iraq with 50 degrees in summer, and now here like 4 degrees is like summer from your spring. So I just grab my umbrella and go there to hang out. Yeah, so to start with interview trip, like tips that we need to cover today. It's a short time, but it's better than going to talk about 30 minutes about my experience, and then you get bored. So we will talk in short about the tips, and then you will have an opportunity to ask questions. So firstly, I would say that what Chevening is expecting from you as a candidate or applicants, and what you need to convince them in this stage. So basically, Chevening is looking for someone who did something in their community, did influence people, or did any difference in their communities, which is basically most of you did because you were selected. So this means that you met this condition. The second thing that they're looking for people who are willing to make a difference and to make a change in their community or society, no matter how big or how small is it, even if you see your own workspace or it's your entire city, it doesn't matter. It means that you just need to make a difference, even if it's small, but it will be bigger and bigger with all of the Cheveners and the networks around the world. So try to convince them that what you've done, you can talk about more details, and I will go to this in the next minutes. And then you have to convince them about that you are willing to do that. And the third element that they are in their criteria is that your previous and your future career plans or future intentions to work in your field should be in line with your country needs and your country policies to make a change in this field. Like for me, I'm working in a tech sector, so my career plans should be in line with what my country needs in this stage and what my country is willing to do in the next like 10 or 20 years. So this is the most important thing. And the other thing is that you need to your future career plans and your intentions should be in line also with UK government like goals in your countries. because that's why Chevening was founded to support these countries to be global leaders, and then to support these countries to make our world better. So you need to fill these three elements: that you have your personal future and intentions and career plans. It should be in line with Chevening, like vision and mission, and also with the UK government goals in your country, because the UK government has different policies for each country. Like for Iraq, in 2021, they were just trying to support the economic development, but maybe in Africa is different, or maybe in Latin America is something different. So please go to their UK government or office for foreign affairs, and you can see their entire agenda for this year. So please take some time to read what they are looking for, so you can fulfill with your career plans and intentions. And the third thing is that you need your career plan should be in line with your country, of course, because like in tech sector in Iraq, we are suffering from underdevelopment in this sector. So I can't like say I will make a factory for robots and for high artificial intelligence things. But in Iraq, we don't even have a factory to fabricate like very small things in my city, because it was destroyed in war. So it should be realistic, and it should be really demanding, not just because I want to do this, I'm going to do this. It needs to be based on a real need in your country. The second thing that I want to talk today is about the approach. Every Chevening has a different approach, and every leader has a different approach to tackle the Chevening application and interview. So you can see that I'm talking about something, but Diyar will talk about something the opposite. It's okay, we both accept it. So and it doesn't matter which approach, just choose the approach that you find suitable for you or comfortable for you, which makes like you do better in the interview. Basically, there's two approaches to go into interview stage. The first one is to go with to stick with your essays and talk more about them and go to details and try to elaborate and convince them about what you've done, and tell them more and more about your career plans, your leadership, your networking skills, anything in that in regarding these like elements. And even if they ask you another question, you will just go back to these essays. And there are many people who did that and got the scholarship. So either you stick with your essays, and the other approach is what I've done. I talked about new real achievements that I've done in between this period, between the application and the interview. Because I had too many achievements to put in essays, I had to choose and decide the best examples to put it in the essay. But then there's many other achievements or small achievements that I wanted to tell Chevening, but I couldn't have enough space to put it in 500 words, as you see in the application. And there are 3 or 4 achievements that I've done after Chevening application. So I wanted to do that in the interview. So whenever they were asking me about questions, I was talking about completely new examples that never mentioned in my essays. And this was like, it might be challenging, because if you are not familiar, or if you are not like ready to go for new examples, and maybe you haven't prepared well, or there might be some follow-up questions that might be hard for you to answer, or you haven't like more details about it. So sometimes this could be challenging. As an example, what I've done is I was a TEDx speaker in December 2020. So, but I couldn't include this in my Chevening application. So what I've done in the interview, I was thinking about like, you know, there's an example of a question that every year they ask the Chevening applicants. So there's a question about what do you advise someone in your position like 2 years or in this period. I thought that whenever they will ask me about this, I will try to steer that to TEDx speech that I've done in December. So they asked me that question, and I told them that I will advise him to not let any year pass away without at least 2 achievements. So they asked me a following up question: what was your achievements in 2020? And that's, I steered them to the answer that I need. I told them that I was a TEDx talk in December in Baghdad, and I achieved what I wanted to say them. So you have the example questions, you can think about them and think about a way to steer them to your answer that you want to tell them if you have new achievements. Otherwise, if you want to stick with your essays, it's completely okay. And there's a lot of people who got the scholarship using this methodology. So you don't need to go further, and you can just talk about details. It might be better if you are not like comfortable or doing some new things and talking and steering. It might take a lot of time. But for me, it took like only 5 days. I didn't have time to prepare well for the interview, but I was really I was really preparing for that when I was like eating, walking, or whatever I was doing. I was just thinking about these questions and how to how to answer this in the best way. The third thing and the last thing that I want to mention here is the body language for people who will do that in person and might be in online. You will find the panelists will not even make an eye contact sometimes. You will feel like somehow they are rude. Sorry for that, but you will feel that. But it's a part of their process to see your reaction, to see how's like your personality, to see what will you do in these situations, because the interview is just a proof about your personality, about like being a Chevener, which means that you need to be prepared for any new challenges or problems. So this might be one of the problems that you will face in the interview. Like for me, I was so stressed because I was talking and there's someone was asking me a question, but they were just like reading something in the laptops or writing something, and they didn't even make any contact with me. So it's completely okay. Try to be prepared for that, and yeah, stick with your plan. And the last advice is, for me, I'm not a paper and pen guy. I prefer to do everything in my mind. That even like the math calculations, I do it in my mind, because I think that in this way it might give you a better practice for your brain, which makes like work more and more than just writing a paper and then just read it. So I prefer for preparing for an interview for Chevening just to practice it without like writing any bullet points or something. Just try to practice with yourself, because in this way, when you are in the interview and you don't have your bullet points and you haven't like to memorize it exactly, but you will have it in your mind and you are living with it for this time period until your Chevening interview, you will find it like it's very useful, and you will see that it's just flow to your mind and to your mouth and like to your speech. There is no an extra thing that you need to do. But if you write something and you try to memorize it in the Chevening interview, and which should be somehow stressful, yeah, it could be a problem or challenging for you. So yeah, this is my way. You can do your own, but this is an advice from me. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Abdullah. Ricardo, you can start. Thank you.
Okay, I think those are very good tips, and that's kind of, I know we plan not to repeat ourselves, but I think good tips are good for every experience and for every one of you. I would just like to add that you are all very exciting people for having made it this far. That's very important. When I applied to Chevening, I was thinking like people I know have applied and they have better careers than I have, or they have done things that are more like impressive, or they have better titles or whatever. And I had a lot of, not imposter syndrome, but I thought I can't possibly compete with all of these people. And I'm not a doctor, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an engineer. And so I just really want to, like, I want you to know that you guys are very good and you're very unique and you're very talented and you deserve to be chosen by Chevening. And I also know a lot of people that are excellent and incredible and very exciting, and they weren't chosen. And that doesn't mean they aren't excellent and incredible and exciting, right? It's an arbitrary thing. It's not a measure of your value or your worth. All of that is very important. And some of my Mexican colleagues have applied 2 or 3 times before getting it, and I was lucky enough to get it the first time, but it wasn't. It was just luck, I think. So I just want to say that up front. And then during the interview, for me, the interview was online, right? It was via Teams, and I didn't know if I should wear a suit or just like a jacket, or I was very worried about that. So I'm kind of a slob, so I decided to wear my pajama bottoms and then a suit and tie, a jacket and a tie. And I didn't know that they were going to ask me to show like the 360 view of the room. So I had to go around, and all the room was like full of dirty clothes and a towel on the floor. And I just kind of, that's my personality, and I went with it. I just laughed and I made a joke about myself, and that's it. And it wasn't weird at all. So that's the first thing, like clean your rooms, make sure your place is tidied up and it's presentable if you're gonna be online. If you're gonna be going to the embassy or to the high commission in your countries or regions, get there on time. You don't want to miss your evening interview because the bus ran late or you missed the tube stop or whatever. And then during the interview, I think the best tip is to try to tell a story that connects your experience with the programs you chose and how that's going to help your country. Like, you really have to have a 3-act structure. So in my case, I used to be a journalist in Mexico, and I applied to this program, right, at the LSE, Politics and Communication. And Mexico has a lot of issues related to freedom of expression and freedom of the press, and there's a lot of violence against journalists. And my, not my solution, but my idea was to create like an independent, non-profit media organization. And they said, okay, why haven't you done it? Okay, I don't know enough people. I haven't networked enough. And then they said, why is this program that you chose, that you're applying to, going to help you do what you want to do? And I really had to give it a think, right? Okay, I need to understand better the theoretical part of media and communications. I need to see what's going on in the UK media ecosystem. I want to meet people from all over the world so they can share their experiences. You really need to build a story. This is where I'm coming from. This is what I want to do. And this is specifically how these programs are going to help me. And I had to choose this one because the other two I applied to had nothing to do with like building a media organization in Mexico to help freedom of the press. One was like the philosophy of thought or things like they had nothing to do with what I wanted to do. And then I would try to encourage all of you to be yourself. Do not try to inhabit a persona that doesn't exist. If you are informal and you can crack a joke, go for it. If you are very organized and formal, then that's good as well. Just be yourself. You don't have to promise to be the president of your country. You can just be a normal 20-something or 30-something that wants to do something good for their community. I really want to underline this. Like, you are already impressive. You don't need to present a fake version of yourself. And then the other thing that really helped me was doing a mock interview with a friend. Like, I found some of the questions like on the YouTube videos and on the website, on the Chevening website. I found some of the questions and I just asked my my toughest friend to interview me a couple of times. And it really helped me because when I was on the Teams call talking to the people from the High Commission and the embassy from my country, it wasn't the first time I had to explain myself. And I think that really helped. But the risk there is that you might sound like overly prepared. You really need to sound a bit natural, not like you memorized your answers. And I really want to hear from all of you, and I really want to answer your questions. So I'm gonna shut up now.
Thank you, Ricardo. That was lovely. Okay, it's my turn. Okay, let's talk about pre-interview. Okay, I have some points. I think Abdullah mentioned some of them, and also Ricardo mentioned some of them. But it's okay when we repeat ourselves. It means that these points are important. Okay, so if you find out that we are focusing on something, it means this thing is important. And our friends in next days, and be sure that each of us will provide new information, or maybe some of them are converse, so you have to choose which one you think is better for you, and you may have your own way. Okay, regarding the pre-interview, there are some points to be considered. The first one, I think, dressing is important. You have to look smart and look natural. It worked for Ricardo, but it may not work for you. Okay, especially if it's in person. I think for boys it's good to wear a suit, and for ladies I have no idea. It's your decision. Okay. The second point, I remember during before the interview, I think it's a good idea to go to the target location 10 to 15 minutes before the schedule. Okay, I remember my interview was 9th of March, and it was 11 in Iraqi time. Okay, I went there by 10:45, and it was a hotel. Okay, the UK consulate in Kurdistan, northern of Iraq, is in a hotel. So I was somehow worried about the location. So I asked the administration of the hotel. I wanted to check. They said, "Oh, we don't know. We have no information about this process. You may be wrong. Your location may be wrong." So I really got nervous. I lost my tension. If Abdullah remember, I just start chatting with my friends in our country, shortlisted people. I told them I'm in a big problem. Then I thought, no, I have to control myself. This is Chevening. This is not an informal meeting. They have to be correct regarding the location and timing and everything. Okay, so it was 11 to 3. Someone just popped up and said hello. Okay, it was relieving actually. So at this point, I did a trick, and I'm mentioning this trick with you. Do you believe in first sight love or not? Some of you may believe it, or some of you may not believe in first sight love. Okay, for love I don't believe. Okay, but for networking I really believe in first sight. The one who gives you instructions regarding the hall and the location, usually it's one of the panels. Okay, so it's very important to make a networking in this 30 seconds or this minute. Okay, so I knew that she was one of the panels. I just said hello. I was somehow warm, and I told her in this 30 seconds, I think, I told her, this is my day. Today I will show them. Okay, I didn't tell her, I will show you. I told her I will show them who am I and what can I do for me and for my country. So I hacked her regarding networking. Okay, so if you think this will work for you, you may use it as a networking, because it's important for them to find out that you are a good networker. Okay, and believe me, networking is the most, I think it's the most difficult thing in UK these days for me, even for me, that I think I'm a good networker, maybe for Abdullah, or for Ricardo too, because networking is very important and it's very difficult. It needs a very fresh skills, okay, to build a networking with people and with academies and so on. And there are some points like using hard perfumes and smelling and these things. Be careful about these points. They may change your future. Okay, use simple things and simple perfumes. So during the interview, I think it's a good idea to be friendly and smile when it's appropriate. Okay. Usually the panels are 3 or 4, and 1 or 2 of them are British people from UKL. Maybe they are members of the embassy or consulate, and one or two of them are from your country. They may be alumni or members of the embassy. Okay, so I think it's a good idea to act friendly and smile when it's necessary. And also Abdullah mentioned the eye contact. It's important to make eye contact with them, okay? But not every time. Don't look at them like that for 30 minutes or 20 minutes. You don't have to, okay? But it's important when you talk to someone, look at him, look at her, look at her eyes, okay? His eyes, to give them a vibe that you're talking to him or you are talking to her. You are trying to convince him or her, okay? So I think eye contact is important. Be positive regarding your country's problems, okay? Every country, each country of us, if you mention each of our countries, we have our problems, okay? You don't have to blame your country. You're supposed to be a leader of your country, okay? You're the one that they are expecting you to change something, okay? It's okay to mention challenge, but you have to show that how you can fix this challenge, how you're gonna work on this challenge. So if you say, oh, come on, this country is black and this is white and this is, I don't know, this is not a situation that you're talking about your country or your people in a bad mood. If you want to mention something, okay, mention, but also find the solution. Okay, mention the solution. And you have to be the one who solved the problem. If it's someone else, you don't have to mention it. Don't waste your time with this. Another point, I think, be confident in your communication, okay? Prevent yourself of being nervous by being honest, okay? When you are honest, when your things are true, as Abdullah mentioned, when you have only bullet points in your mind, you don't have to be nervous. Speak confidently and don't be arrogant, okay? I think I've mentioned in an email, don't be an arrogant to show up that you are the only person to do this and to make this, but believe in yourself, believe in what you are telling them, what you are trying to convince them, because it will help them to decide that you're the one who they have to choose. So don't exaggerate your achievements, because they will be detected by your referee, and if you have mentioned an organization or an institution, they will check, okay? And even I think someone is here, one of our shortlisted friends from Bangladesh, the secretariat has already called his referee to check his academic achievements and so on. So for me, they didn't check with my referees, and maybe for Abdullah and for Ricardo, but they will check, okay? If they think that there's something not clear, they will check. So be the one who you are, okay? They are looking for you. They are not looking for me or Abdullah or Ricardo. They have already found us. Okay, they are looking for Hairani, they are looking for Ivan, they are looking for Ervin, they are looking for Nuin, they are looking for Dana. They are not looking for Diyar and Ricardo and Abdullah. They are already found us. We are here, we are in the UK. We are spending our time. And
I just want to mention something that they asked me during the interview, which is like somehow linked to what you've said about they asked me what's the difference between a UK educational system and Iraqi educational system, which is very hard thing because you need to show that the Iraqi educational system is not that good, and compared to the UK, which is the leading country in academic achievements and educational system, you need to be in the middle. You can't say that my country is the worst ever, even if it is, but you can't say that. And you have to be optimistic, but you have to see that, and you have to say what's the difference in a objective matter. But then you have to say what will you do and what will you contribute. So my answer was in our Iraqi educational system, we used to like memorize things and rather than critical thinking or do research. So this is one of the most challenging things and problems in our educational system. I told them, but in the UK, it's much different. Everything is about critical thinking and doing research. Like even if you have an exam in Iraq, there's a definition for some sensor or anything that related to your field. You have to just put it as you see in a textbook or from the lectures from the university. But in the UK, if you write something like exactly as the textbook or the lectures, you'll get 0 or you will be penalized for plagiarism. You can't use the same words. You have to define this thing in your own words as you understood it. So this is a big difference for me. It was a challenging to adapt this new system. I told all about that in the interview. So you need to know more about your field. Maybe there will be some questions about what's the differences between UK economic system and your country economic system. If you are from economic field and your words, you should like really take care about your words, because sometimes you can say that this is worse and this is bad. It's like using developing and challenging. It's not like problem or worse, or you should choose your own words in a good way so they know that you know there's a problem there. Of course, we are not like denying that, but saying it's challenging means that it's a problem, but we are trying to solve it, and I'm keen to solve this problem in the future. So I told them that I will try to gain this experience from the UK, and then I tried to replicate that on our educational system. I will try my best to do that in Iraq. So yeah, I'm sorry, Diyar, for interrupting.
No, it was lovely. It was lovely. I think I have 2 more points to mention. One of them, during the interview, you have chance to ask them questions. Okay, I think it's at the end. They will ask you if you have any questions. Yeah. So usually during the interview, one of them is somehow tough on you. Okay, someone is trying to squeeze you, trying to detect you in the interview to find out that who you are and what you want. I think it's a good idea to ask your specific question to that person. Okay, shoot him, beat him, shoot her, beat her. Let her know that you're a leader. You are not simple. Okay, you're not that easy. So you can ask your question to that person who you think that is tough, trying to squeeze you, trying to hurt you. Okay, they are not hurting you, but this is their habit. If you ask me what you remember during your interview, I'll tell you. I'm just remembering the typing, clicking of the keyboards. Okay, they don't care. They're just writing and typing by keyboards. Come on, this is lovely. Okay, so be confident and ask your question to the one who is trying to squeeze you. Let her know that you're trying to make networking with him. You're trying to convince him that you are the one that they're looking for. Okay, and my last point, I think it's the most important point. One It's not about what have you done, okay? It's about how have you done. So don't start with the process from A to Z. I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. They don't want this. They have already shortlisted you regarding this. What have you done? It's time to tell them how have you done this. Okay, how you achieved these examples and how you made it, how you made networking, how you showed your leadership skills to everyone. Okay, this is the first part. And the second part, I think it's the most important. You have to link past, present, future. Abdullah did it, and also I did it. You have to link them. You don't have to only mention the examples of the essays. They have already read them. They have already assessed them. They are already give you mark regarding this. You are shortlisted. Okay, you have to mention some examples regarding your area, your field, that you are currently doing them and you are currently interacting. So if you haven't done anything, please do something in today or tomorrow. Okay, if your interview is the day after tomorrow, do something tomorrow. If you are only mentioning past, you are not leader. Sorry to tell you that. Okay, you have to mention something in present. Okay, so and the third part, you have to link past, present with future. What future? The future that Chevening can provide for you. The skills that Chevening can provide for you. Okay, so you're gonna mention past, you have done this and you are currently doing this and you are planning to do this in future. Okay, and by getting Chevening, the future plan will be easier and faster and more achievable. Okay, so you have to convince them that you are the one who can make it, who can achieve something, who can make a difference in your country, in your community. It may be a small community. Okay, so I think it's not necessary to focus on the country every time. Maybe sometimes your family. Okay, there are many people who mention their stories, their family stories. I think it's not a perfect idea to mention your family stories, but sometimes when something is related to your field, it's good. Why not? Okay, so yeah, these were our points regarding the experience. I think if I talk, I can talk for 2-3 hours. Abdullah can talk for 2-3 hours. Okay. The point is that we are trying to give you some information regarding our experience, and there are 15 more people which are unique, and their applications are unique. They will be with you in next days. So for now, as Ricardo said, I'll shut up and we will try to answer your questions.
Yeah, can I say that something about this quizzing thing that you said?
Go ahead, Abdullah.
Yeah. In my interview, they tried to quiz me about asking a tough question. What's your plans for the next 20 years? Like, usually the question is about 10 years or 15 years. Hopefully I had because I really dreaming of something to do something research center on neuroscience that in my field. So I have this idea for 20 years, and I know it's not that easy. But the tough question is that yeah, okay, you have an idea, you have a dream, but how will you do to achieve that? Like, tell us your plan for this 20 years to achieve this like goal. It was one of the toughest questions because I've dreamed about something, but it's too early to think about what I'm doing for the next 20 years. So be prepared. I try to give them all the insight that I'm planning to do in the next 5 or 10 years. And I had a plan for 20 years. And I told them after the next 10 years, I don't know really what I'm planning to do to achieve that goal, because, you know, things change. So for the next 10 years, this is my plan. But for the next 20 years, I have a goal, but I don't know after this 10 years what I will do. And it's okay. And yeah, so be prepared for such questions. And in the pre-departure event, when you've been selected, there's a pre-departure event. So you have the chance to meet the guys the panelists who interviewed you. So I asked the girls who interviewed me and asked me this question. I told her, "What were you thinking about asking me about 20 years old? I don't know if it's like I will be alive after next 20 years." So she said that we will already chose you, but we just want to see your limits and to test your limits and how far you thought about your future and your country. And one of the questions regarding a follow-up question for that question was, what will you do if there's no Chevening? You have been selected this year. I told them that it doesn't matter for me if I'm selected or not. I'm determined to get this goal. I need to go to this like point. If I will be selected in Chevening, it will it will be a shortcut, like 5 years. It will afford me like 5 years of suffering and working hard in my country. If I will be in the UK, this 5 years will be much easier and much less time for me. But if not, I'm okay. I'm determined that I have a plan if I have Chevening or not. So
Exactly.
this is one of the most important things. Yeah.
You remind me that the same question. They asked me the same question, and I answered them the same answer. I told them, then what? If there's no Chevening, there's Diyar. Okay. I told them I've already done my activities, and I haven't thought about Chevening. I know Chevening in past 2 months. Okay, but I am me in past 26 years. So yeah, Chevening is just a way. You have to show them that you have ambitions, you have your own goals, you have your own path, because Chevening is trying to give the people, to give the help to those people who have their own path, who have their own way, okay? They are not trying to give this opportunity to someone who is lost in his or her way. So you have to have your way, and Chevening will just push you to make you closer to your goals. Okay, you can raise your hand to questions and feel free to ask whatever comes to your mind. Okay, sometimes, as I mentioned, some questions may show silly, but when the interview comes, they are really serious. So no worries about the type of questions.
Yeah, can I take the ones in the chat that are
Yes,
that
yes, Ricardo, go ahead.
I'm seeing one. When did you receive communication from the Chevening committee in your country before the interview? Okay, so I can only speak from my own experience because each committee has its own team and its own rules and everything. But I was just checking my email to give you the correct dates. I received my invitation to the interview on the 11th of February. And then they sent me the link to join the Teams thing on the 2nd of March. And then the interview was on the 10th of March. And the application outcome was on the 27th of June. That's my timeline. So you should contact your High Commission and your embassy for the link. But I hope that's useful. And then the other one, I got an offer from my preferred university. It's a conditional offer pending IELTS results. I have been put on a waiting list for the other 2 universities. My question is there a chance that a university might U-turn? I don't know if I understand what you're asking, but in my experience, the conditional offer means you are already accepted and you only have to send them the English test. So that doesn't mean they have to U-turn. That just means you have to send them the documents they need. Okay. And my last question to the panelist was, the toughest one was an ex-Chevener, and I just asked him how he managed the anxiety from the moment of the interview to the moment of the application result. And we just had a laugh, and that was fine.
Thank you. We prefer using voice for the questions because it takes time to read and we don't know who you are asking. So when you ask, please direct your question to Abdullah, Ricardo, or Diyar, and I think it will be better. Tabarak, Ayad, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. This is Tabarak. I have actually two questions. I'll start with one of them. I normally had these interviews with the students that I select for programs, the training programs. So I'm a bit familiar with these interviewing panels. So one of the questions that I'm familiar with is, what would you do and how would you react if you didn't get the scholarship? This is a very tricky question that shows a lot about you. Maybe you can say it's not the end of the world, but this is something very, very dangerous to say. And you can maybe need to tweak the answer a bit. So maybe I'd like to hear from you. How would you respond to this? And of course, you have several plans, but you don't want to mention that you are relying on other plans after Chevening, just in case you didn't get the opportunity. So I'd like you to think while I'm speaking how to respond to this. And another question about changing the selections of the universities within your list, while you already have unconditional and conditional offers, why would you change those universities while you secured offers? People may change because they are unsure about the response of universities so far till the interview process. But why would you do the change and make the change while you have those offers? So yeah, thank you. Those are my answers. Thank you.
Thank you. Abdullah, go ahead with the first question. And please, could you direct us the questions? For instance, if you have a question to Diyar, ask Diyar to focus and yeah. Abdullah, for the first question, go ahead, because I have experience with the second one.
Yeah, I don't have any idea about the second question. Yeah, for regarding the first question about having plans for Chevening and for not Chevening, you should say that, of course, it's not the end of the world. You are a leader. You need to tackle the problems, whatever it is. But you should say also that Chevening really important for you. So what I've done is I said that it's okay. I will try hard. I need to go there, and Chevening will boost this by 5 years or 10 years or whatever you want to say. But then I told them that I will try to work harder to get Chevening next year, because this is a shortcut. This is a short path for me to get to that point. So I will still be in my road that I plan to, but I will try every single time, every single chance to get Chevening to have this like shortcut or short path to get to my point. So this is a quick answer that you show that it doesn't matter if you accept it or not. If you are not accepted, it doesn't mean that you will let down all your goals. But at the same time, you're very determined to get Chevening, to get. And why you are choosing Chevening? Because it's a short path for you. This is what was my answer. Maybe you find Chevening for another thing, maybe networking or maybe a key thing in your goal. But this is I think it's a good answer for that.
Yeah. Regarding changing university, I think it's quite normal. Unless you change the field. If you change the field or the course, it's dangerous. Okay. For me, I had 5 offers from different universities, and as you know, we have 3 limited universities in the portal. So I got conditional offers from the universities. The only requirement was language. Okay, so I changed my second university, which was Dundee, to Lancaster University, and currently I'm studying in Lancaster University. So I gave them some reasons regarding Dundee. I told them that Dundee, and also they were true. I didn't fake anything. Their portal was not clear for me, and their modules were not clear for me. I found out after searching during the period of being shortlisted and application, I found out that Dundee is not the university that I'm dreaming of. Okay, academically, I found out that there are some problems, some modules which are not related to my problems in Iraq, educational problems in Iraq. So I linked this gap to give them a reason that I'm changing my university. And I think it's a good idea to not change the first choice, okay? Because the first choice is somehow important. You have designed the whole course, the whole essays on the first choice course somehow in ways. Okay, so I think it's a good idea, or it's a normal if you change the second on the third one, and it's a good idea to change only one of them. Okay, not to change 2 or 3 of universities. In that case, it means you are not secure. You have no decision making skills. Okay, so changing one university, changing one university is a good idea, but you have to have some academic reasons. Maybe sometimes if you're really eager about maybe some cultural barriers, or I don't know, maybe something elsewhere, but for me, the reason was academic, and I told them that I'm more interested in Lancaster. I talked about Lancaster a lot. I mentioned their modules, and also, yeah, it reminded me something else. We have a friend. He is also from Iraq. Abdullah knows him. He applied for educational leadership and management in Southampton, in Nottingham, and I think in Manchester. Okay, but then he decided to change his first university to UCL. UCL was the first one in the world for educational leadership and management. Okay, so he was narrating the story for me. He said, I was talking about UCL and I was mentioning UCL. They told me, why you are talking about UCL? UCL is not one of your chosen universities. He said, I told them, yes, I want to study in UCL. That's why I'm only talking about UCL. My dream is UCL. Okay, and currently he's studying in UCL. Yeah, so it's like that. Hamza, go ahead and direct your question, please.
Thank you so much. I would direct this question towards Ricardo, but the rest of the panelists, please feel free to pitch in. Uh, as one of the panelists mentioned, that there are two approaches. You can either go with your proven examples, or you can go with something new. So if I would want to go with my proven example, it's a uh, it's a big experience for me, and it involves multiple challenges and uh, uh, during various stages of project, and multiple opportunities for leadership and networking as well. So we as far as I understand, because I also faced interview in the last year, as far as I understand, you only got 3 minutes to answer a question. So my question is, in what level of detail do I need to go into? And should it be like talking briefly about multiple challenges and opportunities, or should it be picking the most suitable or something? So that is my question. Thank you.
I don't know, man. I think you should just like play to your strengths. So, but the thing you always have to have in mind is, how does this relate to the story I'm trying to tell, right? So the story you're trying to tell, think of it as, literally think of it as a narrative. You came from somewhere, that's your experience, and you have an objective, like you have to slay the dragon or whatever to save the village. And that's what you're aiming for. That's your project. That's your goal. And to slay the dragon, you have to go through a series of challenges, one of them being studying a master's degree in the UK. So the whole time you have to relate it to your story. So if your best example is just one that's really related to your story, go with it. If you have 4, that's fine. It's not so much a quantitative thing as a qualitative thing. And just always be trying to focus it back to your own like personal narrative of success.
Thank you. Ondoy, go ahead. We will try to make the process somehow faster.
Sure. Good morning, everybody. My question is actually directed for Diyar, but others can also chip in. I would like to ask, how do you think they evaluate the selection of the scholars? Is it interview and application, or just the interview alone?
We don't know, and no one knows. Okay, it's mystery. Only Abdullah may find it because he's interested in Harry Potter.
Yeah, I might do a artificial intelligence program to detect Chevening selection criteria.
Yeah, the criteria are not clear. Okay, in my opinion, I think your essays matter because sometimes, you know, it happened because even before the interview, they've already decided about some people. Okay, they just want to check. Okay, but for some, no, they convinced them during the interview. So there's no clear answer for this question. Thank you, Andre. Ferdin, go ahead.
So my question is for Mr. Diyar, actually. So I applied to my first choice, and um, what if I don't get any offer later before my interview? What would I say?
No problem. You don't have to tell them that you haven't got your offer. Okay, you have 3 universities. If you get a conditional offer from one of the universities, so you're safe. You don't have to tell them that you have been rejected. Okay, by any chance, you don't have to tell them. If you tell them, it's weakness. Don't mention that you have been rejected or you haven't got answer from a university. You have 3 choices. Okay, if even if you've been rejected by one of them, it's quite normal. You have 2 more chances if you don't want to change the rejected university. So when you get the scholarship by June, as me and Abdullah, we got by 26th of June, I think, and Ricardo got it the day after 26th. So a week later, a program officer from UK will email you and will congratulate you and will tell you that what's your decision regarding these 3 universities. You will tell them that I've decided about the 3rd choice or the 2nd choice or the 1st choice. Okay, then after a while they will send you a final letter with the university that you have selected. But for the interview, I think it's a wise idea if you focus on the 1st choice because it's your 1st choice. Okay, and it's a good idea to mention the 2nd and the 3rd one, but briefly. So 70% for the 1st choice, the focus, I mean, maybe 20 for the 2nd and 10 for the 3rd. Okay, you want to tell them that you want the 1st one. If the 1st one doesn't work, 2nd doesn't work, 3rd. Thank you, Ferdinand. Mohammed, go ahead. Mohammed, go ahead. Rusa Abid, I think. Go ahead, Rusa.
Hi, Dad. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, yes. I wanted to ask on the question whereby they say, or the career plan, they almost say, tell us more about your short term, medium term, and long term. And then on the short term, they normally don't. They say, this. I came across whereby Chevening doesn't want to hear about you seeking a job on your returning back. So now, what must I say exactly on my coming back? Must I say perhaps, because some of us are working full time, must you perhaps preserve that your employee have now reserve a space for you until you're coming back, or what must I really say? Because they don't want you to come search a job. So what must I say on that?
Okay, you are directing your question for which of us?
I think all of you can give it a try. And
Okay.
then another question again is the question they said after now the after everything there's now that last question that you need to ask the panelists. So now what question must I ask? In what context must that question be? Must it be general? Must it be based on what they have been asking, or what must I really ask? Where must I base my question on? Thank you.
You're welcome. Ricardo, you wanna say something regarding questions?
Yeah, don't sweat it. It's not so important. Like, just be yourselves. If you want to crack a joke, crack a joke. If you have like an existential question about anxiety or whatever, do that. If you have a question about the experience, if you have a question about living in the UK, it's fine. Just my main message today is don't be nervous. You guys are all impressive. You'll be fine. It's okay. Everything's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Just say something, okay? Just I think it's a good idea to have a question at least. You may talk about Chevening, leadership, networking, what are the opportunities, or I don't know. For me, I remember I asked about the Chevening portal. I checked that none of Iraqi applicants shared information regarding Iraq and regarding the process. So I told them why. Are there any barriers for applicants or what? They have no idea.
For me, I asked question for my friend. I can't remember who. He was an applicant, also shortlisted from Iraq, and he has something wrong with his references, or yeah, he made a mistake in the portal, and it was after his interview. So he asked me, please tell them what should I do, and give them my email, or at least give me their email. So this was my question: is my friend has this error, and what can I do for him? And so it's a question for them. And the general advice for making this question is try to make it like memorable, that they will know whenever they are like revising your meeting notes or interview notes, they will just know that this guy asked this question. So make it like something unique for you.
Yeah. We have 15 minutes. We will be somehow faster. Regarding your question for the short-term plan, I think you have to stick to your essay, what you have mentioned in your essay. If you have mentioned that you want to develop your job, you want to be promoted in your job, it's okay, mention it. But I think the point is, what difference will you make after your master's degree? Okay, what will be your achievement after master's degree? So I think it's a good idea to focus on that point. What will you change? It's okay if, for instance, I wanna be a father. Okay, I wanna be a father. Chevening provide me a scholarship. I will be a perfect father. I have to focus on the perfect part. Okay, because I'm already trying to be a father. But when Chevening gives me a scholarship, I'll be a perfect father. Come on, education and being father. Yeah. Vicky, I think. Vicky, go ahead.
Me? Hello?
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, my question would be, sometimes they ask, what would be the unpopular decision that you make? So I think this question is quite dangerous, as people said. How will you tackle such question? So what is the unpopular decision that you have made?
Abdullah?
Yeah, I can answer that. Yeah. They asked me the same question, and I wasn't prepared for that. I didn't know that there's such question, but I did it inside during the interview. And during COVID, like my organization faced a problem that there's not mostly our work was in person, and we need some people to go to the organization and do the work. So when COVID happens, there's like some problem that the organization said all employees will be sacked, and because why we are giving you money, because you are doing nothing, there's COVID and there's lockdown, and sometimes there's no internet connection. So I told them I just try to make to steer my organization and make it like an organization to support the health system in Iraq. We try to do the face mask and this thing using my organization was something that is not like a part of my organization focus, but we try to do it, adapt the thing that happened in Iraq. It was an unpopular, and it saved all the employees and their salaries, and they weren't sacked because of that. So it was a very unpopular thing to do in that time. And we faced a lot of problems to contact the authorities to get like a permission to work during lockdown and getting some materials from other cities, which was like forbidden that time.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Huda, go ahead.
Hi everyone, can you all hear me?
Yes, go ahead. Hello.
Yeah, so my question to all of you is that how did you guys introduce yourself in the start of the interview? I've heard different things from many Shivners and just wanted to know which aspects should we focus on? Should we keep it short and simple, or do we make it more impactful? How do you suggest we go about it?
Ricardo, go ahead.
Again, this is one of those things that seems incredibly important when you are applying, and then it seems incredibly unimportant when you have already gotten the scholarship. I can't even remember what I did. I probably just said, "Hi, I'm Ricardo. You probably know me from my essays. Thank you for having me." But this is, again, don't sweat it. The little minutia is not as important as just telling your story, being confident about what you are, what you've done, how you have been able to impress the panel so far, because you're already there. So anything's fine, honestly.
Thank you. Yul, I think. I'm sorry if I mispronounce names. Yul, go ahead. Maskan, go ahead. Maskan, go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, hello Maskan.
Yeah, so I had a question regarding my university choices. Basically, I listed 3 choices, and I received an unconditional offer for my first choice, which is University of Southampton, and that really is my first choice. But for my second and third choice, I was a bit skeptical. Because my third choice is University of Bradford, which is basically because I'm a Pakistani, I'm a South Asian, and Bradford is also a city which is populated with a lot of South Asians. So after listing it on the application, I realized that I should be going for a city with multicultural exposure, and a university which has even better ranking. So I applied to the University of Exeter, and I have received an unconditional offer from there. So is it a valid reason in front of the panel to say that I want to gain multicultural exposure, as well as I have an unconditional offer from a university which has even better ranking than University of Bradford? Do you think that would be a sane option to say?
Why not? I think it's a good idea.
All right, all right.
Liking.
Thank
How about you, Abdullah? Like or dislike?
Like,
go ahead. Congratulations for your
you.
conditional offers.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Go ahead, Kwan, I think.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
I want to ask these questions for Abdullah. You say about steering the committee to the question you want them to ask you. So can you give us a tip how to do that? Thank you.
Sorry, can you raise your phone because I couldn't hear you? What's your question?
Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so I want to ask that, can you share some tips to steering the committee toward the question you want to ask, you want them to ask you, and how you do that?
Yeah. Basically, you have to know what answers you need to provide them. Like for me, I told you I have a TEDx talk that I need to mention to them because it wasn't mentioned anywhere in the Chevening application. So firstly, you just put the things that you want to tell them, and it's not mentioned anywhere. Once you have this solid thing, that the answer that you need to provide them, and you have the questions that, like a very common questions by the committee that they ask every year, or maybe they asked your friends who did the interview just before you, a day or two. You have the questions and you have the answer that you want to provide them. You just need to link them or to find the way that to talk about this link between your answer that you want to provide and which question they might ask you, and for each answer you have to put like more than 2 or 3 questions, because they might not ask you that question, and then your plan will, you have to have a plan B and C and D. So yeah, get your answers and know the question that they will ask you, and find a way to link these questions and steer it to that answer.
Exactly. And one more tip: you can when they ask a question regarding your leadership, you can mention one of the examples of your essay and then direct them to the example that you want to talk about. Okay, you're gonna say, yeah, I've done this and this, and for instance, but there's something else that I haven't mentioned in your essay, and you keep on the process. Okay, you link it. Thank you. I think we will take 5 more people and the rest will be for tomorrow, maybe. Adi Salam, go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Here in my country, it's 4-something p.m. So I have some questions. I will start with Diyar regarding my university choices and courses. I applied a single course for all the 3 universities that I chose. And regarding my first university choice, I have no problem regarding the university, the course, and everything. But when it comes to my second choice, I faced the problems that the course is removed from the website. So I checked them through an email, and also I checked the frequently asked questions. It says that you can change it to something related to your course, your first course. So I changed the course to something related, and I'm a healthcare professional, so I have been in the public health sector, so I changed it to something like global health, something like that. So this is what I planned to make them understand and to inform them. And the other thing, regarding my third choice, what I faced is that it has been my UCL, and it says there are 3 or 2 reasons that I denied applying to the UCL. So I planned to tell the reasons. One of the reasons that the UCL says for my application to be considered, it says I have to send them an official from my undergrad school, in which case there is an ongoing war in that region. Because of that, the universities are non-functional, and I can't present that. And this and the other reasons, I changed the university to another university. So what would you recommend? What would be the impact of this regarding my course and university choices upon my interview, and also for my selection for the scholarship? This is for Diyar. And for Abdullah, I would like to ask you about, they say sometimes they ask you to mention your strengths and weaknesses, my greatest strengths and greatest weakness. Of course, as a leader, I have a weakness and a strength. So what would be my answer, or how could I tackle this question? Or you can, or the students to, or if you can comment on me, suggest me anything, or you can answer it one of you. And the other, regarding my resources, I am trying to use some resources, including the Chevening website itself, the embassy website, and also I joined over some social medias, and also some resources in my country, previous scholars. So I was thinking if I have to go to the embassy and look for some people so that they can give me some entry pointers or some information. So do you suggest to go to look for some people? It might be in the embassy, or so some people that I know. Do I have to communicate them? Would that benefit me to make? So these are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Regarding your question, I've already explained that it's quite normal to change one of your universities, and especially if you have an academic reason, for instance, that the course is delayed for this year, or even there are some problems in the modules, it's quite normal to change it. So I think you're safe. Okay, so when you're safe, no problem at all. Abdullah, please be faster, and I think
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Regarding the weaknesses and good points of your personality, you should just be honest and tell the strongest things in your personality, but it should be related to leadership, influence, and the thing that you are trying to tell them. Because if you say that I'm a good at programming, it doesn't matter if you are good or not. If you are a tuner, I just told them that I have a very commitment that I got rejected in the first year when I applied to Chevening because I didn't have the qualifications. I was out of criteria, but that made me piss off, and I said that they can't reject me. I will just apply for them and get a scholarship because they reject me, not because of anything else in that year. So yeah, and the weakness should be also something that's not that bad. It should be something that good for you. I don't know how to, like, every personality has its weakness, but the weakness should be somehow good.
Thank you, Abdullah. We will take Dana and Katikun and Hairani. Okay, these three applicants. The rest will be for tomorrow and the next days. Okay, guys, we're sorry because it's 1 hour and a half. Go ahead, Dana.
Okay, so good evening. I'm
Mr.
okay. Can't you hear?
Shall I start?
Yes, Dana, go ahead. Sorry.
First of all, I'd like to thank you all for this interview. Like you've organized this, and this is really makes us happy, and so we really appreciate your work and everything you do. Actually, this is better, and this is better than everything like the PDFs that you've sent to us. I think this is the best thing because we know that we can learn from videos and from like the records and from the voices better than when we read something, because we will be really bored about reading things. So my questions, I think, have already been answered by you, I think by Mr. Abdullah. One of them is, you know that the first impression works best. For example, when they ask, for example, what you like, tell us about yourself. When they say tell us about yourself, so I think I read something about it. They said don't try to for example, explain about what you have done, what are your jobs, your previous jobs, like this thing. So what should we start with? So we just say our names and so how? I mean, this is my question. What should we specifically mention? So we talk about our previous jobs, or let's just say, like for example, I'm Mr. Dana, so you already known me in my essays. So what else should I say? How many minutes? 1 minute or more? Or how? This is one. And the second question, and this is the most difficult, I think, for me and for the other like shortlisted ones. We know that networking and leadership skills, leadership essay are almost interwoven, and they are together. They are almost mixed by us, by the applicants. So how can we answer if they ask about something like, tell us about one of your leadership examples. So if we talk about the leadership example, of course, there should be a networking with it. So how can we be, like, how can we depend on ourselves? Like if we say this example is the leadership, but of course, within the example of the leadership, we have a networking. So at this point, what should we focus on? So we focus on the leadership example or link it with the networking. I think this one is almost mixed because they should know this is an example of networking or leadership. And thanks for answering.
Thank you. Thank you, Dana. Abdullah, introducing, go ahead.
Yeah. Regarding the first question about introducing yourself, I don't think it's a good idea just to introduce, yes, I'm here and my name is that and that's it. I think you should describe yourself and the aspects of your personality that describes you are a leader. You don't need to be to say that I've done this, of course, and this is my future career plan. But yes, I'm Abdullah. I'm very passionate about like technology, and I want to do this in my life. It's about my personality. It's not about my future plans. I'm passionate about like tech things, and you can just say the aspects that make you a leader, but the aspects that tackle your personality, not your future plan or your field.
Yeah. Regarding your second question for leadership and networking, I think it's a good idea to divide your examples in your essay, to choose in advance that you want to focus on leadership in this example, and you want to focus on networking in this example. For the leadership, you want to show your influence, okay? You want to show how you impact on the process on the example. And for the networking, you want to focus on how you make networking and how you use that networking to let this thing happen, okay? So the point is that for me, it worked for me. For leadership, I focused on example, and for networking, I focused on the other example. Thank you, Dana. The last person. I'm sorry, guys. We may not take all questions for today, but hopefully this process is will be keep on tomorrow and the day after tomorrow and next week by Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So no worries. We have plenty of time. Go ahead, Katikan, the last person for today.
Hello, so I have two questions in which they are directed to Mr. Ricardo. However, the other panelists can also answer them as well. So for the first question, let's say if the interviewer start off the first interview question by skipping the self-introduction question, should the candidates still briefly introduce themselves before answering that first question, or should they just directly answer the first question that the interviewer asked? And for the second question, let's say that the interview question focus on a situation when you fail as a leader and what you have learned from the experience. How would you respond to the question without significantly downgrading your leadership capability? So these are the two questions that I have for now. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Unmute yourself, Ricardo.
Okay, I'm glad that nobody heard that because I just swore in Spanish because I couldn't unmute myself. The panelists know you. They have a copy of your essays. They have a copy of your application. So I think it does not make sense to introduce yourself again if they didn't ask you to introduce yourself. So just say, hi, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here. I said I was extremely nervous to be there and they laughed and it was fine. And then keep your answers short and sweet, but if they don't ask you what you want to talk about, like Abdullah's example of the TEDx thing is perfect. If they don't ask you about something that you want to say, just try to weave it into one of the answers. It's your time to shine, to talk about yourself, to be impressive, so use it as well as you can.
Thank you, Ricardo. Thank you, Abdullah. Thank you, everyone, to be with us today. It was lovely. I think 120 people participated regarding the whole of the time. I think it was lovely. It was informative, and expect 3 new scholars, 3 fresh scholars for tomorrow, 15 GMT zone. So we'll be with you, hopefully. We will not leave you behind like Biden left Ukraine behind. We will not pray for you. We will be with you till you get the scholarship, hopefully. And the link of this meeting will be posted in our project page on Facebook. We are trying to make this project something regular for every year. So maybe for next year, some of you will run this activity. Thank you for your time. I didn't read the chat, actually. I was focusing on the managing the process, and Abdullah, I think, tried to answer some questions. No worry, if you have more questions, we have tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, and Friday, Saturday, Sunday of next week. Good luck, best of luck.
Let's take a picture. Open your cameras.
Okay. We're waiting for for more people to open their cameras if it's okay for them. Nice sunglasses. Taken? Okay, thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Abdullah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Love.
you.
Thank lovely.
you. Mentorship.
Diyar, good job.
Bye, Adi Salam.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Dana.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Davis, Florence, Ralph.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna leave. Bye.